Everyone in the Hall of Celestial Accord had a reason to stare at Princess Liari. Curiosity clung to the chamber like perfume over a blade, because beauty was the least dangerous thing about the last daughter of House Vael. She sat alone beneath a chandelier of living crystal, silver skin glowing, violet eyes unreadable, while nobles, admirals, and diplomats avoided the empty seats around her. It was not etiquette that kept them back. It was memory. One prince had touched her without permission and left unable to speak. One envoy had lied and lost a moon. 3 suitors had mocked her and never reached home. So on the night of the Concord Feast, the most feared woman in the galaxy dined alone. And then the human walked in, jacket over one arm, smiling as if he had wandered into the wrong story and decided to stay. He saw the empty chair beside the alien princess and started toward it, one step, then another. Then another conversation thinned. Forks stopped. Musicians missed notes. Because everyone in that hall understood the same rule. No one approached Liari unless they were tired of living. And yet Commander Elias Ward of Earth kept walking. That was the moment the whole room forgot how to breathe. He reached her table, pulled back the chair, and sat beside her as if the place had been saved for him. Liari turned slowly, elegant and lethal. Up close, she looked less like royalty and more like an ancient law wrapped in silk. Her eyes moved over his face, the scar at his throat, the blue curve of earth on his chest pin. Then she spoke in a voice soft enough to force silence. "You are either very brave, Commander Ward, or very stupid." Elias poured himself a glass from the untouched decanter at her table, took a sip, and answered, "On Earth, Princess." Those are often the same thing. A few nearby dignitaries visibly flinched. But Liari did something worse than kill him. She laughed, small, sharp, disbelieving. "Do you know who I am?" she asked. Elias nodded. "You are the woman everyone here fears. The woman who ended the Paraxis Rebellion in 3 days. The woman who burned a raider armada from orbit." Her gaze narrowed. "Then why would you sit beside me?" He looked around the hall and back at her, because no one should have to eat alone. Several glasses shattered at distant tables. For the first time, something changed in Liari's face. Not softness, but a crack in the mask. She leaned back and studied him. "You think kindness protects you, human?" she said. "I think honesty buys me a few seconds," Elias replied. "And sometimes a few seconds changes history." Then Liari asked, "What did Earth lose to make men like you?" Elias looked into his drink before answering. "Enough. Wars, cities, illusions, every time we rebuilt." Someone laughed until we stood back up. So now when we see someone sitting alone behind a wall of fear, we recognize the architecture. Above them, the crystal lights trembled. Then she lifted 2 fingers and ordered a second course for him. The hall erupted into careful panic. Elias ignored it. He asked whether the dawn over Vael Prime was truly violet. She said yes, but only in winter. He asked whether the stories about her first command were exaggerated. She answered that they were not exaggerated enough. And little by little, the dead air around her became something impossible. Conversation, real conversation, edged with danger but alive. Then the assassin struck. He rose from the musicians. Disguised as a cellist, his instrument unfolding into a compact shard rifle. The muzzle flashed toward Liari's throat. But humans had earned their reputation honestly. Elias moved before thought could catch him. He seized the table and hurled it upward. Crystal dishes burst into glittering fragments. The shot burned across his shoulder instead of her neck. Liari rose in the same instant, and the room learned why fleets whispered prayers against ever meeting her in war. She extended one bare hand, and the assassin collapsed mid-step. Armor caving inward under invisible pressure, his rifle twisting apart like wet paper. Musicians scattered, nobles dove for cover. Security finally remembered its purpose, but by then it was over. Liari stood over the crushed attacker like judgment, and Elias, bleeding and half-crouched beside her, managed a strained smile. "Well, that seems bad for the evening's mood." The princess looked at him, at the blood on his sleeve. And the hall waited for fury. What came instead was far more shocking. Liari knelt and pressed glowing fingers to his wound, sealing it with a pulse of violet light. "You shielded me," she said quietly. Elias winced, seemed polite. Another laugh escaped her, warmer now, and when she rose, she kept one hand on his forearm. "No one in the hall dared move. Hear me," Liari said. In translation, halos brightened. This human crossed a room all of you feared more than battle. He offered me neither flattery nor submission. He asked for nothing, and when death came for me, he moved without hesitation. Her voice sharpened. "You have all called my solitude dignity, power, consequence. Tonight, a human named it correctly. It was loneliness." The silence that followed felt larger than space itself. She drew Elias to stand beside her. "From this night forward, remember this. The first soul to approach the Princess of Vael without fear was not a king, not a conqueror, not a noble of ancient blood, but a man from a young world everyone mocked for its noise, its nerve, and its impossible heart." Elias swayed slightly and murmured, "You are making me sound better than I am." Liari's lips curved, "Then try not to ruin the story." She lifted his hand and placed it on the armrest of her throne chair, a gesture so intimate that alliances probably died on the spot. Yet no one was watching politics anymore. They were watching her face. Because for the first time in living memory, the alien princess did not look untouchable. She looked found and across 1,000 worlds that became the part of the story no one forgot. Not the assassin, not the blood. They remembered the silence before the human sat down and the truth that followed after. That sometimes the bravest act in the galaxy is not winning a war or taking a crown, but seeing the loneliest person in the room, walking through everyone else's fear and saying with your presence alone, "You do not have to sit here by yourself anymore."